Absolutely. So we are live on all of our programming. So we're just going to start up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Virtual Cantina Watch Along. We are in the March to Mandalorian Season 3, and I am very excited about this episode tonight. So we're just going to go through the preliminaries really quickly right now. To my, I guess if you want to say to my left, is the Governor John. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Thanks, Spencer. Really looking forward to our new guest, somebody that hasn't been with us before, and I've never met this gentleman, so getting to know him a little bit better will be fantastic. So
awesome. And below me is Dave. He's on the controls tonight. How are you doing, Dave?
Hey, how is everybody this evening?
Fantastic. And Senor Jefe, how are you, Jeff?
Good. Glad to be here.
So we're welcoming everybody to come in, and our other guest is running a tab behind, but she'll join us. But Jeff, why don't you introduce our first guest of the evening?
Well, we're pleased to have all the way from Mandalore, the Heavy Mando, aka Paz Vizsla from Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett. Also played other characters in the show. Tait Fletcher.
What's up, everybody? Good to be here.
Well, there you go. You got one. What is this?
Is that the new pop?
No, that's the heavy pop. That's the heavy.
That's the heavy pops. That's it.
Ooh,
Yeah, this one just arrived. I don't have the other one yet.
Yes, I was excited about that. But Tait, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So, Dave, if people want to ask questions for Tait or when Emily arrives, how would they be able to do that?
So what you have to do is go to your local Wells Fargo office and send us a little telegram. If you were watching over here on the Facebook or if you're watching over there on YouTube, I'm monitoring both of those chats. So type any questions you have for Tait, for us, for Emily, anybody, and at an opportune moment, I will relay those and we can see what it is.
So I want to start off and say that I've been a fan of Tait's work for a while now. Most impressively, watching his death scene in Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. That was just gnarly. I'm sorry that they're putting the scorpion in the ear. I was just like, oh my god! I mean, how was working on that production?
It was fantastic. It was really, really great. The whole team was great. I mean, it's all about the guys we work with, and the folks on that job were like a lot of really exceptional, and you get to work with such a high grade of talent. It's really, really nice. And what a fun show. I had no idea how fun, when you're in it, you have no idea how fun that show is going to be until after you see what's come out.
Right. Well, I mean, you had an all-star cast right there, and you got killed by Bobby Cannavale, so that was pretty awesome in itself. So very, very exciting. So one question we ask a lot of our guests is that, did you know when you walked on the set for season 1 that you were in a Star Wars project?
When I walked on set, I knew, yeah. But I don't know if I knew when I auditioned or not. I might not have, because there's so many code names and all that kind of stuff. But then when I read and I heard I'd gotten the part for Alpha Trawler, I got a call back a couple days later, and somebody said, "Hey, Favreau saw your audition. He wants you to play this other character." And so I thought that I, lost the one job and shifted into the other job, and didn't realize that I was going to carry both, and nor really what the stakes were. But what a character! I mean, I couldn't have picked a better character to play, really. I mean, to be able to play Paz Vizsla has been just a dream, in all the ways, and informing the character, his movements, the ethos and the background, the honor that he carries, and to try to hold that and stand up straight with it, and be what I thought it needed to be represented as a fan and for the fans.
Yeah, I think you've already kind of gotten to our first question over here. Bryce is asking, what's it like? What kind of burden does it carry to do justice to being part of Clan Vizsla? is how much backstory did you have to get before that? Did you know it from watching the Clone Wars, or were you indoctrinated to this by Dave and John or whoever beforehand?
No, I mean, I studied into it myself for sure. And I want, because it's just like anything else, you want to, especially with this, especially with a lore, a modern day working mythology that we have in the Lucasfilms world. You want to be correct, right? And you want to, I wanted to be absorbed as I could be in it. So they filled in a lot of questions, but I did a lot. I did all my own homework.
Nice.
Yeah, Dave especially. Dave is he's amazing to chat with about that. He'll go on into rabbit holes that you hadn't. Because that's the thing is these guys in creation, they've got universes in their mind that they haven't talked to anybody yet about, right? They've got, it's really phenomenal to watch it in motion like that. And what a privilege to get to work. Both of them directed and were on set for the Alpha Trawler scene. And then as we built Paz Vizsla out of that, it got more and more magnificent.
Did you know from the get-go if it was going to be John voicing that character?
No.
Or was that something you found out later on?
Yeah, I did. No, I did all the work on the show. And then because you're playing it, right? We're playing the scenes out. And so you do all the work and I didn't know that until I saw the finished product actually. And then I saw John downstairs at the at the premiere. And so yeah, then we had we talked about it a little bit.
You're like, look,
pleasant surprise.
Where's my voice?
But fair enough is my voice was burned in the first episode.
Yeah.
And so it was just great. I'm glad that we were able to collaborate and make that character happen and what it was. It's been magnificent.
So you typically, your character, especially in season 1 and the first couple of scenes, had some serious beef with Din Djarin. How was that like playing up, working off of Brendan and Lateef, and especially in season 1?
Well, it makes it nicer to not see Brendan and Lateef's face because I really like them. You know what I mean? And so that would throw me off. So I'm glad that there were the helmets for that in that way. Yeah, it wasn't hard at all. I understood completely what the assignment was. Here's a guy that's come in that is not this, and this is the kind of code that we carry with this, and he hasn't walked through any fire at all. This is ridiculous, right? It's shameful. It's an affront to everything that my lineage has been. And so it was kind of easy to get want to grab his helmet and pull him up off that stool.
Well, that's one of the things that I absolutely love about, we'll talk about this more a little bit later, about this particular episode as well. And it goes back to what I had you sign at Rhode Island for me. They has brought this blade back to my clan. The whole story, the lineage and the mythos of the Darksaber has a life of its own, and especially in Clan Vizsla, it's a heavy burden. What did that mean to you when you saw that you might be battling for the Darksaber at that time?
The way I thought about it, the way I thought Paz thought about it was that he felt that he didn't want to carry that weight, but that it was his responsibility. Kind of like the idea about if somebody wants to be the president, you don't want that person as the president, right? You want the guy that doesn't want to be the president, that's there to serve. And that's how Paz was thinking about that, and logistically, intellectually thinking about it and going, if not me, then who is more fit, right, to carry that weight? And it's certainly not this guy. And that was all that I was clear about, really.
So a question for you, Tait. It kind of comes from a comment or an observation that Brendan had recently when he did the watch along with us. He was saying that, certain actors get very immersed, as you were just describing, very immersed into the role, very serious, researching a lot of the background. But he was saying that Giancarlo really likes the physical element of certain scenes, and he kind of hauled out on him in certain scenes with the Darksaber. So, you're a big guy, you're a physical presence. So do you find that certain actors might go a little bit over the top with certain scenes with you, or do you rehearse it and they're all pretty respectful?
I think maybe people are more apt to be careful, right?
Retaliation.
You know what I mean? It's easy to push around a Chihuahua, and people think twice about a Rottweiler. It's just what it is, right? And so that's a privilege to enjoy in some regards. There's the other side of that. There's some actors that are known that like to be overly physical with people, but those I don't know a whole lot of them. I don't know that, and I don't want to think that was what Brendan was speaking about with Giancarlo. He's a very seasoned and able presence and understands all that. Usually it's like people that get too excited inside of a physical movement, then somebody gets hurt, right?
Right.
But yeah, anyway, it's a nice thing because there's scenes where you can't half step it. You have to go full in, and we have to agree on that, you and I. And I have to say it's okay, and you have to say it's okay. This is what we're doing, and this is the goal we're trying to get towards. And so there's a lot of times where there's private discussions that are exactly that way. Or I'll implore somebody, I need you to come, I need you to contact, I need that, because then I can react off that. Like, we need this to be real, right? I need to have stakes in it. And so you build that in however you need to in scenes. And I think that's the thing he's speaking to. That's a common thing that we do.
I think, he was saying that I think he found him quite physical, just in his approach, not disrespectful, but and then he didn't tell Lateef about it, and Lateef was quite surprised.
No, it was the other way around.
Oh, was it the other way around? I'm sorry.
Lateef was getting, the hard action in the scene that he was doing with Giancarlo, and when he switched up to have the shots with Brendan, he didn't notify him that Giancarlo was going at it.
That's hard, because if you're Giancarlo, you just think it's the same guy,
right?
You think you've already had all, you wouldn't, because I wouldn't know, right? I can tell if I watch him and I can see him walk for 15 feet, I or whatever, I know who's who. But without that, man, and if you're not looking at movement like that,
you got to be able to pick up those mannerisms and
totally
read that.
Wow, man, what two excellent guys! Those two, man, the weight they carry, amazing.
Well,
so we got some questions going over here in the chat. Deb is asking about working in the volume. Is it as surreal as it looks like on the gallery episodes that we see? Just talk a little bit about being immersed in that.
Yeah, it's such a novel technology that it's not even pervasive around the United States yet, right? There's a couple of volumes that exist, and they are. I described it to somebody as if you're in the metaverse, right? You're in this kind of metaverse. You're inside a video game with your friends playing video. It's like that. It's a trip, and to see things. And I was just on a set, and it's like same huge warehouses, big full green screen, and you color in the background. But in the volume, it's just all videos, the ceiling, everything. You're immersed in this place, and you literally, if you're walking and it's like a desert scape or something, you can't tell where the functional earth that you're walking on ends and the screen begins. I've known 3 people that fell right off the stage because they couldn't tell, and it's that real. It's insane. Wow. It's really wild. I mean, anyway, it's a phenomenal thing. It's a phenomenal thing. I was on another show, a Tait Fletcher show, and it was a pirate show, and so we're in a boat, and they have a quarter of a volume, and I'm like, you're gonna get seasick right now. I had to focus.
Our flag means death.
Because that's it. Our flag.
It's a great show.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
But it's very realistic, and you don't miss. It's not like what we saw with the flaws with old technology is that people would say, "Oh, look here," and he's going to be standing right there, and it's not, and it's so palpable to the viewer that it takes you out of it, and so all that stuff is gone. You get to actually interact. It's amazing.
It's got to make it much better for you in terms of having not to kind of just imagine what's going on.
Yeah, and it takes the onus of communication, kind of, because communication is the biggest thing on set. And when there's poor communication, it's miserable. I mean, everybody's second guessing what to do.
Exactly.
And if you'd only known these 3 sentences before, you wouldn't be in this, and we wouldn't be reshooting, whatever the thing is. And to have that a huge, like, this is all agreed upon. This is what it is. And there's no explaining that. And you think of all the explanation that needs to go into telling an actor about a green screen and where it is, I mean, it's not horrifically difficult, but the more movement you put in, I mean, stakes get different as you go,
It's a lot easier than like looking at a tennis ball on a stick to do your reactions to.
Totally.
So Lila asks, so in your circle of family and friends, obviously when it was revealed and when you could, tell them, who was more or most excited to find out you were, in a Star Wars?
My agent. It's no shit.
Good answer.
Yeah, she, Carissa Mitchell, and she is such a fan since she's been from the first celebration. I mean, she's everything, and she's in tears, weeping when we spoke about. Yeah, it was like that.
We have a guest joining us.
It's like Emily.
Good answer.
Emily's popping in.
Uh-oh.
Just in
El
time.
Jefe.
There
The
she is.
original Mama's Own girl.
And there's El
Talk about-
Jefe.
Hi
Talk about
guys.
timing.
Sorry for
Hello.
my tardiness.
That's
Hey, Emily,
fine.
how are
Good to see
you?
you.
Good.
Hi, Emily.
What's up, Tate? Hi. Hey, Tate, look who wants to say hi to you.
Hi.
Hi, Tate.
Oh my God.
No.
Norma Jean.
No, it's Arthur Miller.
Oh, okay.
They're getting blocked out.
Arthur, who's
Oh,
that?
We're getting eyes.
Hello, Colton.
He's like, what am I looking at?
Let me find Norma Jean, though.
The best pups ever.
Norma!
He's on a track.
Norma, it's your buddy.
There you
Oh
go.
my goodness. I'll tell you, the next week or two might be the time I get another one, Emily.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, boy.
That's
Well, Emily,
awesome.
we are
So what did I
so
miss?
happy.
What did I miss?
We're
I'm
just
sorry.
chatting.
I got to make a living, and I was trying to
Oh.
tape an audition so I can get a job.
We were just talking about who was the most excited Tate's kind of circle when they found out he was part of a Star Wars program, and he said his agent. So fair answer.
But also,
Emily, we're so happy to have you come back
a
to
fan.
another episode of the Virtual Cantina. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's absolutely our pleasure. And if you have any questions for Emily and Tate, please, put it into the chat. So we were just talking about, obviously we're going to talk about this episode in a few minutes, but you definitely felt in season 1 that there was a kinship between Heavy Mando and the Armorer, and obviously you see more about it in Fett. But what did Emily? How do you feel about that relationship that you had with the rest of your crew, but especially with Tate's character?
Oh man, I mean, I just adore Tate, and I felt that it's so weird to think back to season 1 now, because we've gotten to spend so much time together. But those were strange, mysterious days.
Mysterious.
Oh, we knew nothing.
Yeah.
And Tate was such a wonderful presence then. I remember just feeling so grateful for him, because there was something that was very grounding about him. And so I felt a connection to him from the beginning. And then we didn't see each other for a very long time, because we weren't on set very much or I wasn't on set very much for that first season. And then we got to know each other doing conventions, which was such a joy. And then when we came back to do that episode of Boba, it was such a wonderful adventure. And it was so great that we got to build on the genuine friendship that we had, that Emily and Tate have from doing the conventions. It just felt so natural that 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 friendship weaves in and out of, I think, what the Armor and Paz Vizsla have. And there was something that felt right about the fact that they would be the two that were together. We never got answers as to why. I mean, we sort of asked like, so what's happened between what we saw at the end of season 1 and now? And we got answers like, I don't know. Figure it out.
We're like, yeah, what do you think happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Or what? Thanks a lot, Dave. Cool.
Fill in the blanks.
Like no giving away any secrets.
And my very practical question, okay, so how did we get the forge here? How do we carry this thing around everywhere? And I mean, Paz Vizsla is a very good friend indeed if he helps with that, because I think we all know, like, when you have friends who help you move, like, those are true friends.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
one thing I also want to bring up, and we'll talk about more when the episode comes up, but the line that was the most brutal line, I think, in Star Wars overall, which you signed on my print in Jacksonville, then you are no longer, you're a Mandalorian no more.
Yeah.
The gasps, Emily, the gasps.
Yeah.
I mean, he did it.
Yeah. You're responsible for your own actions, young man.
Wow. I mean, like, we're all saying, like, oh my God, he's so willing to move heaven and earth just to get in your good graces again is absolutely fantastic. With all that he's been through, it's awesome. I can't wait. Can't wait to see.
What's amazing though is it's like that, like you were talking about the first time that we'd seen each other. Like, I remember clearly the first time I was present to the Armor, right? And presence is the word. Like, when you walked in, it's just like, it's striking. It takes your breath away. The whole thing. I mean, the scene, the atmosphere. I mean, it was amazing. But like, that's how like there's a sense of awe that Paz has about the Armor. There's a sense of, this is my matriarch. This is the one true leader in that way. And then it's weird because there's a lot of that I feel about Emily. I mean, it's such, as friends, and then we get into this place, and then she's been such a leader in a lot of different regards. But I think that's what Mando feels too. It's like there's that sense of presence that you can't ignore, and that this is the way of the righteous. This is somebody that holds the line, and that's important. And it's not even that that's important. There's not another way. And I think that's what Emily kind of, the Armor holds that space for us, I think.
So this is a perfect time for this question. And it was before Emily came on, but I think it's perfect for both of you. So Mark wants to know, aside from yourself, who would you like to see as the ruler of Mandalore?
Oh.
Ooh.
Well, I don't want to be the ruler of Mandalore.
Yeah, I don't
think
either.
the Armorer wants to be the ruler of Mandalore.
I think it goes back to, if you want the job, you're not fit for the job.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so.
I don't think there's enough people that
So
walk
you're both
the line.
voting for Grogu, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't know
He
if there's
can't even
enough.
decide if he's a Jedi, a man. He's confused right now.
I don't know if there's enough people
How do
that
I
walk
answer
the
this
line
question
Yeah.
to rule.
without revealing? Let's see. Who do I want to see? Who's somebody who's not in The Mandalorian that would just be a fun answer?
Well, Mark in the crowd would love Corky
James Fonda?
Saul Goodman.
from the Rebels and Clone Wars. There's a character named Corky who he absolutely loves. He thinks he should be the ruler of Mandalore.
Bo-Katan's
Throw that out there,
brother.
Corky Kenobi.
Yes.
Unofficially.
I don't know. I mean, who else would you think is your favorite character that you think that would be an awesome ruler for Mandalore?
It would be a good. Trying to think of what other shows that have nothing to do with Star Wars that could be fun.
Deb writes Dean.
Like Fonzie. Fonzie would be a good ruler.
Fonzie would
Yeah.
be
Hey,
that would be good.
Fonzie.
Let's see.
We'll find out.
Upstage by a
Oh.
Here we go.
What if we took like Gus Fring or, one of
There you
Giancarlo's other characters? That could be interesting.
All right, here's the we're not looking for spoilers. We're not looking for what actually happens. Is everyone in the chat wants to know, most important question for Emily, who wins, the Armor or Bo-Katan? Who or if you want to go there, who takes them down, you or Katie? Just
Who takes what down?
in anything. Who wins? Who takes
between
the
you
fight?
two.
That's it.
Good question.
See?
We'll see.
Side right there.
I mean, between Katie and me, our combined forces are the winner.
everybody
We had
Yeah,
so much fun
indeed.
together.
There you go.
I love getting to work with her. And we got to meet, we first met finally, because she wasn't in season 1, I wasn't in season 2. And we finally got to meet at a convention in Washington State last year. And it was just heaven. She's so wonderful. And we get along thick as thieves. And we had the best time on set this season. And I can't wait for you to see what happens with Bo. And I just think that Katie's phenomenal.
That was the perfect thing. It wasn't that bad of a question.
And I would have to say is that ever since we saw the teaser trailer at Celebration, seeing just all those Mandalorians, especially the ones jumping out of the ship around Navarro, and also Tait, that shot of you in the trailer is absolutely like oh my god. In the middle of that battle next to where the IG-11 statue was.
Coming through the courtyard, yeah.
Oh my God! Like this, I can tell you from the fans' point of view that we are ecstatic about anything and everything that's happening in this season.
Same.
Yeah. So, Notman,
Yes.
Lila says that it should be the Mandalore should be someone from Star Trek. That's just right for you.
Not happening. Not happening. No. We're not hawking the track. So Emily, I do have a question for you, and I'd be burning to ask you this since you jumped on. So with I call it the Mando / Fett panel, right? That was in Anaheim. Carl described it when he walked out as being. He said, "What are we at, a football playoff?" What was the energy? What was the feeling in that room? Because
Oh my
it
gosh.
was so exciting to be there to watch you all.
Yeah, I've never experienced anything like that. It was, I mean, I have not come up with the perfect words because there are none. It was electric. It was the most wonderful, supportive, joyful, exciting feeling I have ever felt, I think. I mean, there was so much joy in that room and so much, it is such a unique thing, the Star Wars fandom, because, and I think it's because it is so, I think it's because of the age spread of it, the fact that it is like, kids who are teeny tiny to the eldest of the elderly. It transcends age, it transcends language, it transcends every possible thing that normally divides people, I think, and it just speaks to that piece of us that deep down wants to be part of a story about, I mean, it's part of those myths that are a part of every culture. Star Wars has those deep hero stories, those deep myths, and everyone can connect to that in some way, and in a really important way. Whatever the external trappings of it are, there's something at the core that is that connects to that spiritual part of us. And I think that is what comes out when you walk out into a room of people who are excited to watch a trailer for the next season of a show about that, and to hear about the making of that, and to see the little weird green baby puppet guy.
Muppets are
So
awesome.
bizarre. What do you say?
I said the Muppets are awesome.
The Muppets are awesome.
I don't know. My reflection of that was at the time was I didn't know who was more excited, us watching you lot or Tim Mira coming out on stage and doing the hacker. Which, Tate, I hope he'll teach you. Or if he has taught teach you the hacker.
What a special thing that he brought to everybody.
Yes.
That struck me so much, and really beautiful, man. Wow. But I mean, that's a timeless moment. Wow.
I just thought it was great watching that panel at Celebration, and he had such a collection of fantastic performers up and down that stage, and then John has to bring the child on and put him on there, and upstage is everybody.
We're used to it, though. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And we're the ones that go to the conventions. We're the ones that promote the show. He's never there. He stood on the table for a few minutes at Celebration, but
how much does he
Tate
care about
and I
the
are the ones going across the country, meeting the fans.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the favorite meme of all right now. It's like, I am Star Wars now.
In December 2019, everybody that had watched your wonderful season 1 had said, "What do you mean there's no Baby Yoda toy? There has to be."
That was the most beautiful part about it. Was before the corporate takeover of toys, and they didn't do anything to do any toy for Baby Yoda, as we were calling him. And then you see all these fans all across the world put up their manifestations of what that is, knitted or all these.
Yeah,
great versions of it.
Beautiful. It was so cool.
Possibly origami.
There you go.
Yeah, nice.
So we're about that time right now. So we're going to get started with the episode. So we're going to be watching episode 5, The Return of the Mandalorian on the Book of Boba Fett. Just for Tate and to Emily, because of the algorithms, if you can try to put your closed caption on, because the sound leaks through, we might get bumped off if you're able to work that out. But we will get started with this in a second, and we have a lot of questions coming in about the episode once we get started.
Yeah. Tell me what I should do, because I have to get in my car now to drive to a rehearsal. What's the best way to handle this portion so I can be participating and
we'll just
available.
feed you questions.
Yeah,
okay.
Just kind of like riff off of what we're saying is you I'm sure know the episode well enough to know when we're talking
many
about
times,
something.
yes.
Yeah, so we might mention a scene or something based on a question, but I'm sure the questions might even be more general than that. So you not watching isn't a big deal. We'll all enjoy it.
Excellent. So we're going to start with, Pete, are you ready whenever you are?
Ready whenever you are.
Okay, sounds great. So we're going to start the Disney Splash. So hopefully everybody has their Disney Plus all queued up. And we're going to start with a 5-second countdown. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play.
And let the all the preview stuff go, and we'd love to watch the previously on.
So when we had Chris Bartlett on the last time when we were doing our show, he mentioned that he did not know that he was on the Fett show until he actually walked onto the set. Did you know that you were in Fett, or do you think this is another thing for Mandalorian? Either or.
It was all Mandalorian to me.
Right.
I was aware I was on another show, but there's all the code names on shows and et cetera, and it's hard to know what a continuation is that you're doing. But I think later in the day, it's just not obvious. It's not like it's a huge secret. I think I found out later that day probably, but
I was told when they got in touch with me to come shoot that it was going to be Mandalorian. But then I was talking to Brendan Wayne, who does Mando, and he said, well, I'm shooting Book of Boba Fett right now, and I have a script with the armorer in it. And at first my thought, because this is how out of connection we are sometimes with what's going on, my first thought was, do they have somebody else playing the armorer in the Book of Boba Fett? Because that was not out of the realm of possibility in my mind. And I was like, how dare they do that? And then he said, no, you're coming to shoot the Book of Boba Fett. And I was like, oh, okay. But he said that they had done that Ming-Na didn't know she was going to be shooting the Book of Boba Fett till she got there. She thought she was coming to do some episodes of Mando. So they like to keep us on our toes, for sure.
So I thought this was absolutely great. You know, obviously you get the silhouette of Mando behind the shears.
Goosebumps when I saw that.
So creepy.
In this, in this meat packing place. I mean, I almost felt like I wanted to see Rocky or Paulie holding the meat, back there. But this was just like awesome.
Yeah. I was saying earlier on to Tait that when we saw that and the subsequent scenes, it was like, where are we going now?
Yeah, this ramps up quite quickly.
This crazy journey's taking a turn.
Bryce is such an incredible director.
She seems to understand, the whole what needs to be done and the characterization and where it fits into the whole universe. It's wonderful to watch. So Dave, I think we had a question about the directors using that.
But we did. That brings it right into there is, so, as fans ourselves, we all have, we think like, a favorite style of directing and a favorite director for these episodes. Tell us a little bit about like your favorite to work with or your favorite to watch work, or, talk to us about the different directors from the shows.
I'm going to let you start with that, Tait, because I'm walking down to my car now. And just to warn you, for the next few minutes, my signal might die. But if it does, I'll jump back on. This is the adventure part of my Zoom.
This is good. This is cool.
Like we're on a ride along and a watch along all together.
Yeah.
The first thing that really struck me was when Deb and Bryce and Carl and Dave and John were all on set together. And watching them all conspire about a scene and hearing their different visions of like what tension might be in that scene, and these 3-second little pieces. The attention to detail is so great. Just like watching this scene right now and the way the choices that Bryce makes, it's phenomenal. But those choices, I'm pretty sure, are filtered with a bunch of people. There's such a little ego here. It's such a group effort, I guess, is what strikes me the most. And they want to get it right for everybody. Like they want to get it right for all the fans too. They're like, it's not without consequence that people play in the Star Wars universe. And I think they take that. All the directors I've worked with take that. Rick was one of my favorite to work with. He was, tremendous. The kind of space that the directors hold really speaks to the way the rest of the set behaves, and you can really feel that. And it was excellent, man, an excellent experience, and it was like being in a master class, I guess, on filmmaking.
Yeah, I second that, in that there was it was so incredible to work with such diverse directors who also collaborated so well and so generously. Oh, sorry. It was a really good feeling.
Drive safely.
Whee!
Worry about the road more than us.
Yeah.
So Mike wants to know, like, how far in advance do you like get the call before you're going to be on on a new episode or a new show? Like how far ahead do you know that to be able to prepare for it?
Any show or a Star Wars show in particular?
I would go with both. Is to compare both. Is tell us just in general, and
Say
then tell
both
us about.
quickly. It's like a couple weeks ago, I got called on Thursday, and they said, "Can you fly in the morning? We work Saturdays, Sunday, Monday," and so there's like that. Very little going in, and like when I started on Alpha Trawler, I knew quite a bit in advance because I'd worked with a linguist a bit, learning Huttese and just going over different pronunciations and things, and so I'd had a lot of time to prepare, which I'm really grateful for.
Chris.
Because it gives the opportunity to be able to present yourself in a way you'd like to.
Well, just want to point out Chris Bartlett,
Chris.
right over there.
The
In the elevator.
non-droid.
What now?
Oh, yeah.
He's
Chris
the guy on the
Bartlett.
elevator with Mando here.
Oh, and I missed earlier is to tell everyone
Oh,
that Leilani was in the chat earlier. I don't know if she's still there, saying hello to both of you.
Oh, hey, Lonnie.
What's up, Leilani?
And I believe Chuck's with Leilani right now, Tate.
Right, yeah, cool.
Mhm.
The busiest man walking.
Yeah, right?
I love some of the aliens they threw in here.
So,
Well, mainly the main.
same question for you, Emily. I mean, how quickly did you find out that you need to be on set for a lot of these projects?
Yeah, it really varies project to project. If you're doing I mean, for Mando, season 1, I knew I was going to be doing it a while in advance, but I didn't get much information about it until almost immediately before we were shooting. I didn't get to meet with John and Dave till like a couple days before I was on set, and that was when I finally got some information about what the story was, and I knew like what the character looked like and a general idea of who she was, but I didn't really know the plot at all until I got to talk to them. And I got the script just a couple of days before we started shooting. So it was a real rush to sort of take the more abstract ideas that I had put together on my own and kind of fill in the details that I'd gotten. I was really glad when I got that script for Book of Boba Fett. I got it a couple of weeks before we started shooting, and there was so much information in there. I asked if I could get a call with them to get really clear about what of it was canon already, what if it was new information that we were establishing, because I wanted to be clear about, especially because the armor sometimes throws some things out there that may or may not be established fact. Like, she knows more than she lets on sometimes. And I wanted to make sure I knew what I was presenting to everybody. And they were great about that. They got on the phone with me, or we got on a Zoom call, and they, at that point, so we were talking about the Boba Fett episode, and they said, yeah, we're trying to lay a bunch of stuff out for season 3 of Mando. And so they started to tell me about that. And so that was sort of astonishing to me, because I'd never gotten any information that far in advance. But I was still very skeptical, because, I hadn't been in season 2 at all. But then, even then, they changed things. Like throughout the season, we were getting rewrites at the last minute. They changed things. They shape the story as they go, and they brilliantly too. They will start. We shoot, and they is and the way that they see, emotions starting to shape the story and things playing out, they might decide that there's something that makes more sense for a character. So they might start rewriting things a little bit differently so that the story goes in a slightly different direction. So then we'll get rewrites and, we'll need to redo something. And so you kind of have to be prepared for anything. I try to be as prepared as I possibly can as early as possible. and then be ready to change things at the last minute.
Nice. So it's our first glimpse of you in the episode right
Yeah.
now.
We're just
Yep.
coming up
Amanda
to the
just fell
scene
down.
where
I think
you've asked
the
him.
most relatable part of like the entire series, which is what we would all probably do when handed a lightsaber, is hurt ourselves.
Cut our own leg.
Well, the
Yeah,
thing I loved about this as well, and I don't know if they realized this, is that it was awesome. You know, Tait has the Bacta spray to heal him, but also heals the cloth of his gear as well. It sews it up very nicely.
Magic.
That's a jetpack, by the way, Tate. That's a jetpack.
It's a
Because
jetpack.
Brandon was saying the difficulty he had with the Beskar spear, you know, being a
Oh,
prop that was difficult to work with. But that's a big jetpack.
Oh yeah.
that spear was particularly difficult the way to draw. Yeah.
Or as he called it, the bastard.
Yeah, right. There's a
Little
bastard
bit more than
sword,
that,
there
but-
could be a bastard spear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first
Follow
time when we
that
see,
from it.
you know, Tait, you handing Emily the dark saber, and then you igniting it, Emily. I mean, I think that all of us lost our collective minds when you first ignited that.
Yeah, because I mean, from the impression that we had gotten before, I think with it was, you know, whoever's possessing it. So we're like, you're just handing it to somebody? What? But now, the armor is explaining, giving us the
Well,
exposition.
what's enlightening here is that the person who doesn't deserve to wield it will cause a curse. That's an interesting part for me.
The beautiful part I think about it is that if you think it's going to be like a free pass, I got it and now I have power.
Mm.
Right.
It's not that. It's if you're not aligned with a power source of the universe, then it's not aligned with that's not a power that's for you. It's not available to you.
Yeah, didn't
Emily dropped
Moff Gideon mention that
Back.
it's the story that has power? It's not really the saber.
Mm.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, that she disappeared. Yeah.
You know, that who possesses it, but also the lore of it is what makes you powerful in that capacity.
Yeah.
But yes, Emily, we just watched you igniting the dark saber. That was just absolutely like awesome. And
Oh my gosh, it was so cool to get to hold it. That was awesome.
And now they're dragging your expensive fire pit into place.
There you go. On
You gotta
a
have couple
random.
strong guys around to move your
There you go.
I just had to move my fire pit from California to Florida, so I know exactly how it is.
See, you
And
understand.
you melt
There you
Beskar.
go.
Right.
You know, I have to say too, with all of those weapons, I really appreciate all of the props people that we have on set, all of our weapons people, because a lot of the times the props that we have various versions of things. And especially, with the sabers and stuff, sometimes we just have the hilt, sometimes we have the full piece. And every time we have to make sure that we are holding it appropriately so that it looks like it has weight or it doesn't have weight. And it's, appearing to be the magnitude of the weapon that it is. And they keep such an eye on that and make sure that we don't look like idiots so that we're telling the story that we need to tell. And I appreciate them so much.
Yeah.
Well, watching this, I want to say, I hope you guys are like this, is that so right after season 1, I bought the large version of the Mythosaur skull from Regal Robot. And my father-in-law came over to my house to help me install it. He's like, where are you putting it? I'm like, above the door of my office. And my wife's like, you're really putting it above your door? I'm like, you have to watch the show to understand. There's nowhere else that skull can go except for above the door of my office. So
going back to the Beskar spear, the armor's explaining, that Beskar is for armor, it's not for weapons. So who forged the Beskar spear to cause potential, injury to the Mandalorian Creed?
Good question.
But aren't whistling birds made out of Beskar?
They are.
Nobody said the armor wasn't, a little bit on agenda, something going on there behind the scenes, a little bit of mystery.
Yeah.
She's a private
They're
arms
just
company,
best
guys.
star tipped.
Not just whistling birds, but whistling bird backups too.
Mm.
So
Plenty.
That's going to be the name of our group, is the Whistling Birds.
The whistling bird,
Yeah, an offshoot.
I like it.
So I loved, obviously the speech about the Night of a Thousand Tears.
Yeah,
and that
here's-
was absolutely
Ah,
beautiful.
yeah.
But seeing it, visually, almost like it's Judgment Day from Terminator 2.
Very
was
much
just,
so.
Very similar.
Yeah.
The droids walking in the ruins.
and,
Plus the probe droids in the air, really
Oh
creepy
my
with the light
goodness,
with the
yes.
lights coming down.
That's
That's really
so
creepy.
T2 right there.
Yeah. We were just talking about that a second ago, about like the whole mystery of the Darksaber, that if you're not doing in combat, you can potentially curse your entire clan or the people from Mandalore, and I think that was a perfect example of which hopefully we'll find out later on about the whole what happened with Bo-Katan and how she was handed the saber initially and what happened from there. So very exciting.
So we've got a couple of because we've got spoiler alert, fight scene coming up here. Is a couple of fight related questions here. It's Lila saying that she remembers, I think, from a previous episode that Emily has said something about training in Kali fighting style. So question for Tait being, is there a specific fighting style that you prefer to train in or that you have had to train in to be the heavy armor or the heavy Mandalorian?
A lot of what my previous life was has led to that. My background, I don't know, 25 years ago was out of Krabi Kabrang, Eskrima, a lot of Filipino martial arts, and I fought with a group called the Dog Brothers for years, which would fight on the summer and winter solstice. And there was a group of guys that we would have gatherings, and so I've got a lot of weapons experience for years. And different than this, though, the translation is so different, as Emily was talking about. When you're working with any kind of utensils, I saw a guy throwing suitcases up on this TV show that I won't mention, and you can see that they're light. It's horrible. It's the worst. It's like it takes you right out of the show. And so to be able to wield these things in a way that shows them to be weighty when they're styrofoam or whatever the thing is
Right.
A whole nother skill set. And who ran this this fight scene coming up was a guy named Richard Citrone. I was on another set, and so that's who did the scene on the bridge with Mando.
Ooh,
And he did great. He's got a great weapons background as well, and he was a real good fit for it all.
The scene with
So the question then to Emily would be, did you have that sort of background before, or is there someone in particular on set that trained you or has helped train you for this?
No, I have not. I've done stage combat, and I've done boxing training, but I didn't have any martial arts experience. And so I got in touch with JJ, who's our fight coordinator for Boba and for season 3 of Mando, and just asked him if I could work with the stunt team to get a good foundation. And Latif has been incredible and so generous with his time, and has worked with me to try to build the fundamentals. And JJ was always great to work with me during downtime to try to get me well versed in a lot of the basics, so that I could learn what I could and try to do what I could. With the time that we had, there's not as much time on a TV show. I quickly learned to have that luxury of training and learning all of the fights. But just to be able to learn some of them and to learn to learn the language of the fights was really useful to me because it's just another part of the way that the armorer communicates. And so when I knew like what vocabulary they were trying to use for the fights, I could communicate with them about what felt right or what didn't, and could share ideas about what I thought might work. And I could learn more about how they felt like she should move when those fights were happening. And some of them I got to participate in, and some of them I don't have the technical skill to, but I'm still continuing to train and work more so that hopefully I can keep doing more and more. And I love getting to, I mean, I'm a really physically active person anyway. So I love getting to learn a new way of moving, and the whole team is so generous and collaborative that way. So it's a great environment.
We're watching the scene right now. This is what I love is Din Djarin comes out in their combat with the dark saber, and Heavy Mando is like coming at him with like an 8-inch knife. It's like, no, let's go.
Yeah.
And the shield the size of a frisbee.
I just feel like Heavy Mando doesn't feel very impressed with Mando.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
This whole area's got to be can't be space OSHA approved either. It's not a
Oh my God.
railing.
What wasn't the best shot ever though? Looking down that long runway and seeing Emily at the end of it, and then that space skate. It's just amazing.
Oh, that was absolutely incredible. I mean, I know that, like,
my favorite shot of the show, I think.
Well, no, it was just awesome. Obviously, we were all waiting to find out what happened to the armor and Paz, since season 1, and then finally we're like, oh my God, like there they are. Like, this is incredible, and just to see, how everything goes on. Now we're at the scene right now. Emily is asking the question to you.
Have you ever removed your helmet? No. Oh.
Did you remove your helmet? Cricket.
Awkward.
Let me think about that. How do I answer this in a roundabout way?
He's honest though, isn't that good?
Yeah.
He's like, define remove. Can you repeat that?
Ever.
There are elements of removing. All in a good cause. Yeah.
Mhm.
You're a
Always
Mandalorian.
Grogu's fault.
It is. Yeah.
Well, that was the one thing is like, okay, so they're gonna reforge the spear. What's it gonna
Why him? He's a Jedi.
So,
He's with his own kind. Why does he need this?
So to see chainmail, that was actually kind of cool. I mean, I know a lot of people think it was gonna be like, like a Flavor Flav type necklace or something, but the chain.
What I love about the armor is walking the line, protecting your own. You do not. If you stray from this line, I'm going to bring you back in. Why are you protecting the Jedi? They're their own kind. They don't need our help.
I think also it was kind of interesting as well, and is that going into season 3, it seemed like the armorer was sending Din Djarin on a mission that was impossible to do after what happened with Mandalore. So I'm very excited to see how that turns out.
Isn't that the best kind of mission?
Yeah.
So everybody was mad at the armor now because she said, "You're not a Mandalorian, even though your name is the show is the."
I was like that, Emily, like the Blues Brothers challenge, right? It's dark. We're wearing glasses. It's 180 miles.
Right.
Little chance of success.
Hit it.
But like I kind of was saying earlier, pointing to like the armor, she shines the light. Here's the hero's path. You're walking this other way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just facts. It's not even emotional. It's just this is what's happening. If you didn't know what time it was.
Oh, sorry guys. We're right in this moment now where Mando is speaking to the Star Tours pilot.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, he's also now the DJ at Oka's Cantina.
Yeah.
On Batu.
Well,
so.
DJ Rex.
empties everything into the just okay.
One
sure.
piece at a time.
We're trusting airline baggage handlers
Yeah, that
with
too.
all of our weapons.
And the dark saber.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was
half
the biggest
expected
thing.
them to lose his luggage at this
I
point.
thought for sure we were gonna see a theft. I was like, he's
Yeah.
putting this in here. TSA is
Yep.
stealing his shit.
Very much
Buddy.
so.
Dark sabers
Buddy.
in the way.
But
Buddy.
when he dropped all the whistling birds, I'm like, oh god.
Yeah,
this
he's
is
like
gonna be bad.
knocking him out.
No.
Doesn't he have a
question from
flamethrower?
YouTube. Well, yeah, I guess that he can't just
Flamethrower, I
disable
didn't
that.
get.
Could be like a canister or something that he has to take out. Who knows?
So, question from YouTube for both of you in whatever order. What was your reaction to seeing your action figure for the first time?
Amazing.
So cool.
Oh yeah.
I might have one of those right here, signed. Got Emily's signed. Tate, we'll have to find a con with you very soon because you know
I hope so.
I have this one and I've
Well,
got
those are my
the series
favorites.
as well.
Yep.
My favorite though is the sideshow figure.
Yeah.
You can switch out her hands, like she's got hands in different
What?
positions.
Sideshow
Nice.
does awesome stuff.
Sideshow's incredible.
I have, you can't see behind me, but I have behind the interactive my life-size Grogu from Sideshow. When that
Oh
came
yeah.
out, I had to jump on that one.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing for somebody who's an engineer like me, right? You get these things you can take off jetpacks or hands. I want to know how that works. It's going to come apart real quick. It's the inquisitive mind I have.
It's funny seeing Mando taking public transportation here. So used to him being in the Razor Crest.
Yeah.
R.I.P. the Razor Crest.
Indeed.
Yes.
That was what we were talking about last week. We were talking about last season when we actually when we watched it with Brendan, was talking about, you know, what was your reaction when you were, you know, flying around the Razor Crest for so long and all of a sudden, boom, it's gone.
Many voices cried out across the universe when that was blown up because they just bought the Razor Crest.
And there's Pelly. I was at work.
Oh my gosh.
Amy.
My
With her
bucket
around
list
Amy.
wish is to have the armor and Pelly in a scene together.
Yeah.
It would just
And
be
the
so
jet-
awkward.
and the Jawa.
There you
Yeah.
go. Throw Leilani in there.
What I loved about the scene as well is that obviously there's been a lot of online comparisons of Paleomoto versus Sigourney Weaver's Ripley, and
Yes.
he gets pulled behind the like the mother alien is grabbing her and dragging her underneath there. It's pretty funny. She's just hilarious in general. Like
She's
her-
so good. So good.
And her not to be understated, her relationship with the pit droids is hilarious.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
good.
With droids in
Great
general.
banter.
This whole thing with this creature just got super freaky, like with the drop of a hat.
And then you had the BB droid from Cal Kestis right there.
Mm-hmm.
Walking around. But no, Amy is just hilarious, and you know, I love watching another one of John Favreau's productions of Elf, and just seeing her interactions with Buddy the Elf is just absolutely hilarious. And you can't even tell that's Amy. Like, you know, if you know her production, how she works, it's just pretty hilarious.
So taking a quick break, change in pace here. Tate, Emily has been inducted into the virtual cantina plan because she has a virtual cantina coffee cup
Oh,
with her
yeah.
name on it.
Incredible
Oh.
coffee cup.
So
Which
when we see,
John, I do want to interject is that when I did see Emily in Rhode Island, one of the things she told me first was, I still use my coffee cup.
Yeah.
so when we see you next, Tate, we will have a virtual cantina coffee cup with your name on it.
Can't wait. There's not much I like more than coffee.
There you go. I'm glad you still have it, Emily.
I'm sorry.
I said I'm pleased to hear you still have it.
Yeah, it's a really nice one.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you get gifts and you're like, oh, thank you. And then you sort of misplace it. And
Mhm.
I keep track of that one.
Yeah,
There
we
you
wanted to
go.
make sure that they were something that you guys would enjoy.
It's very, very thoughtful of you. I appreciate that.
You're most welcome. You're part of the
So
family as
honestly-
far as we're concerned. So.
Lots of time.
So,
So this
this was
reveal is
a
insane.
trip. This was a trip seeing the N1 Starfighter showing up here. You know, that's a little throwback to the prequels.
Let's try spinning. That's a good trick. It just didn't feel
Well-
at the time when I saw it. I thought, oh no, it's not practical. This isn't a Mando type space vehicle. I mean, how is this going to work?
I
He's
Then
think
again,
having a
he's-
life crisis, and he has like a coupe. He needs to get a Corvette or
Yeah.
something.
But then again, he is a bounty hunter, so he needs that set of cool
Where's he
wheels.
going to keep his? Yeah,
Here's a good question, Emily. What kind of ride do you think the Armorer has?
Ooh,
Oh.
that's a good question.
You know, I've never thought about it.
yeah.
I feel like she rides a dragon of some sort,
There you go. The mighty mythosaur.
something like that. Yeah, yep. Winged
She's a
mythosaur.
dragon like that. What's the name of the one
great
in
dragon?
the Never Ending Story?
Oh,
Oh,
Falcor.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's swinging.
I
for the
think
fences
we
right
can make the Armorer on riding Falcor. What do you think, Dave?
there. I think that can be done. And I think we know that, like, you know, Paz has to like lug around the forge and everything, so he's like driving the space truck or something. Like,
Or it's just public transportation, and it's tough with the overhead space.
Yeah.
Too many forges up there.
that's in his carry-on. He's just gonna.
It's like Shaq trying to ride coach. You know, it's and nobody's happy. Nobody on either side is happy. Nobody's happy.
So I thought this was a great scene with Pele and Din rebuilding the N1 Starfighter, but it definitely felt like, you know, do you need an 80s heavy metal hairband like rock montage while they're doing that, because it's very much, you know, getting ready for the big drag race.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, one of the we came up with a lot of we had a lot of downtime on set during season 3 because of, you know, it's a very tech heavy show. So
What?
one of my favorite things
What?
to do.
Season 3.
Pardon?
Season
The
Oh
3.
yeah, it might happen. It's imaginary. And one of my favorite things to do is to come up with reality programming for Disney Plus Plus. And one of the shows that I thought would be great would be Pimp My Ride, except it would be Pimp My Ship, and it'd be hosted by Pelimoto.
Nice.
That's so
Indeed.
cool.
So that's
There
what
is-
this sequence made me think of.
That's awesome.
Emily,
There's
I will
Ariel.
Emily, I will pass your idea on to Disney corporate.
But
Thank you.
throwing
Thank you.
throwing in like
I
the
know so-
exhibit reference right there. That's points right there.
Would that be like
Throwing in what? Sorry.
The exhibit reference. Exhibit, the host of Pimp My Ride. I think. Wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be on the Ocho?
The Ocho.
But there's Leilani and Ariel.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yay.
That's cool.
They're wonderful people. I love them to bits. They're so much fun.
They're furry bits.
Yes. It's funny how she says she used to date a Jawa.
I love that.
There's a lot of memes about that.
I have a story I'll have to tell you about Leilani. When we're not live, when we were down in Anaheim.
Oh, my.
Oh,
What kind of story is this?
Oh.
It's okay. We'll get it later.
Yeah, let's talk about it later. Can't say on that,
But yeah,
but you won't be surprised.
those pictures are very much Three Stooges-esque.
Oh yeah. Do you know? It's a suspense. So there are, you know, when I have my vacation home and people have Star Wars themed rooms, people have commissioned, I think, engineers or artists to build them pit droids for those rooms. Incredible. I've seen them. They're amazing. I love the way that she's trying to convince Mando, this is still a good option for you. He's like, no, I don't know.
But yeah, Tate, what kind of ride do you think that Heavy would drive?
Probably like a Land Rover Defender.
Okay.
Good enough. Yeah. Like giant packs on the roof rack.
I don't know. I think it's more of a modern day Escalade. Pimped out.
Or a motorhome. Maybe a motorhome of some kind.
Like Lone Star.
That was exactly where I was going. He's driving like the
Eagle
Eagle 5
Mando-
from
Mando Bago.
Spaceball.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mando Baker.
So, Emily, if there was a planet you would love the armor to appear on, what planet would it be in the Star Wars universe?
Well, what was the planet in season 1? I think it was episode 3 with all the episode. Well, I don't remember which episode, with all the nice water.
Mm-hmm.
What was that one called?
That's the episode that Bryce directed, right?
Yes.
With the ATST.
Yeah, that's the one that Mercedes showed up on.
I
Yeah,
liked
what was
that
the
one. Looked
planet?
very pleasant.
The one that where the sheriff was, where Gina Carano was.
Yeah.
Mm. I don't know the name of that one.
Oh, that one, yeah, with the
There's like
blue
Vietnam or Laos
prawns or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like little paddy
Real.
fields and
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
that just looked like a really relaxing place.
Yeah,
I
like
feel
nourishing. It looked like you could grow. there.
Farmer needs a vacation.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. That's the kind of place that
The
one might
nature.
take their helmet off. That might.
Well, I think
Put it
he
on a
did use-
windowsill.
I like to think that there's a planet
It's
somewhere
fine.
where Mandos can go and take their helmets off.
yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Maybe a free,
That's a great
for-all.
I have a
tagline.
safe space, right?
That's a great tagline where Mandos could take their helmets off.
Yeah, that's what all the travel agencies have that special section.
I could just see it, a spa that says helmets must be worn at all times.
We'll do a whole under the armor series.
All other clothing optional.
Yeah.
What about you, Tate? Is there a Star Wars planet you would love to see?
I like that one. I like the Gina Carano planet.
Mm.
As long as it has a beach. It seems like it felt like it had a beach somewhere.
Somebody's watching along on YouTube or Facebook. Look up the name of the planet for us.
Mike's watching.
Like-
Mike
on
and
my-
Bryce.
Sorgan.
Oh, see right there. Mike's already answered it. Is Mando met Cara Dune on the planet Sorgan?
Mm.
Okay.
Way to go,
Great.
Mike.
I love in that episode. She also says, "No man could take down ATST." And all of us are thinking about, well, didn't Ewok take down ATST?
There you
Oh,
go.
he's not a man.
Oh,
That's true. More than a man.
And we still have that unsolved mystery of the Star Wars universe. Jawas versus Ewoks. Who wins?
Ooh, let's ask that.
Jawas
Hey,
for sure.
Jawas
Jawas
for
for two Ewoks apart.
oh. Team Jawa.
There's no chance.
You
They're
know an
too
Ewok
dark.
that might beg to differ.
They have the ability to pull the trigger, and I don't think Ewoks do. They're too kind.
Oh.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I think
But
Ewoks
Ewoks-
will eat stormtroopers. I think they can kill them.
Ewoks are scrappy. Ewoks were my first Star Wars love. They were my gateway into the universe when I was a little kid.
I always felt like the Ewoks needed somebody like the Wookiees to be able to keep them alive because they wouldn't be able to do it unto themselves.
Yeah.
It's funny, every time we ask Kevin Thompson, Return of the Jedi, obviously Ewoks, and we ask Leilani, it's like, no, Jawas. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, guys. That's
Of course.
Well, I think it
Good
depends
for-
on the Jawa and the Ewok
Yes.
too.
Right.
If it's Leilani, I would tell the Ewoks to hide.
because cleaning is extra.
Yes.
Mhm.
I also think it's a lot to do with the environment. If they're in their natural environment, they get an advantage.
This is true. Yeah.
There's a fun
What do
scene
they
with
have to work with?
Mando taking the N1 out for the first time.
Kind of waiting.
The first time you get into like a sports car, and you test out the controls.
So I was pleased to see you were announced for MegaCon Orlando, Emily. So
Yeah.
we shall be seeing you
Excited
soon.
about that. That's supposed to be a big old crazy time.
Yeah. It's in the Orange County Convention Center where they had a celebration in 2017. So it's a big old hall.
Okay.
It's a big hall. Huge.
Well, it better be with a name like MegaCon.
I think Henry Winkler's been. We were talking about Fonzie earlier on. I think Henry Winkler's been announced.
And so they announced Chevy Chase today. So
yes, and oh gosh, D'Onofrio will be there too.
He was up at Rhode Island too.
He cancelled and appeared, then cancelled and appeared.
Wow.
I just met Henry at a Fan Expo New Orleans, and he is the sweetest man.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize he was an author of children's books.
That's
right. That's true. Yeah.
So Tait. So in the Star Wars universe, we've obviously in the Mandoverse at least we've had the swear word of Dank Ferrick being dropped several times, but yet in Andor, someone drops shit. Do you think that fit in the Star Wars, or they should have said Dank Ferrick or use something more Star Wars-esque?
Voodoo.
I didn't take me out of it at all. I thought Andor was beautiful. What a piece that was. I thought it was really magnificent. Diego Luna I thought was just superb. And the whole thing was a pleasure. As far as all that goes, it's like one of the first things to learn about getting into this is what's the timeline? When do we exist inside of this, right? And so then I think even like culturally inside of there's such an expanse, like what was acceptable to say at this time that now shit is acceptable at that, or what, like at what point have you changed language even throughout that time frame? And all these different universes that intersect over, decades or.
Emily, what did you think of Andor?
I loved it.
Yeah, it's a great show.
It's so
phenomenal.
different. It's so different.
Yeah.
I love that it's a side story of the first Star Wars that we've ever seen in collusion with getting the plans to Luke. I mean, like, it's just done so seamlessly. Their flow chart for all their shows and how they fit into each other must be phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing
there's one of those chalkboards like the meme guy in Dave's office somewhere.
It's bigger than that.
Totally.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm sorry. I have to go because this rehearsal starts at 7 for me.
Go get it. Good to see you.
Break a leg.
Thank you for taking a car ride with me and letting me join in, even though it was on the go. It was so wonderful to see all of you and to hear all the questions.
Not a problem. We'd love to have you back during season 3 if you're available.
Yes. And
awesome.
Tait, I'm so happy to see your face. I adore you, my friend.
Love you so much. Have a great.
Everyone have fun. One month away.
1 month.
Yeah, not long.
And before you sign off, sign off, Emily, what's your sign off line?
Oh, you've heard that enough.
You really want me to live with you forevermore.
This is the way.
Thank you. Have a great
night. Good luck. Break a leg.
I mean, how could you not want to say this is the way? I mean, it's like saying may the force be with you. It's synonymous.
You say it, you write it, it's right there. Yeah.
The first time I ever seen it, I go, oh my, that was when people are like, oh, how did you know how big the show was you were in or whatever? When I heard that, when that writing came out, I was like, oh my God, this is like the Nike swoosh. This is one of those iconic things that's going to transcend time and space forever.
It's interesting. It's interesting you should say that. Just real quick, sorry, Spencer. Do you know that for the first few episodes, it wasn't. It was "I have spoken." You know, and that was really the first, most trotted out line of that season was "I have spoken."
Was what?
Cool.
I have spoken.
Not as
Man-
far as I'm concerned. The first episode and the third one were full of like, and then that came later, right? I have spoken.
Yeah, from a certain point of view, the
so
Mandalorian point of view.
In your mind, what is the way?
I mean, I think that, you know, when Mando and I are sharing that, when I save him in episode 3, it's just the admonition that this is how we behave. This is the correct way. It's not necessary for thanks or for this or that. I hold this honor bond as you do.
Excellent episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Right. And we're sitting here watching now the art for this, which is
Aren't
just
they amazing? Is that Cal that does this?
Just
Concept
like
art
that.
is
That
insane.
is so much like Ralph
Tremendous.
McQuarrie, where you see Viz and Mando on the catwalk,
Mhm.
just like Ralph McQuarrie type style.
Well, one thing I love about like when you were talking about in episode 1 when you know, Heavy and Mando get into it is that you're at each other's throats, and Emily says this is the way, and you guys like this is the way, and you back off from each other. Like one phrase can stop like a skirmish, which is what I thought was fascinating because you guys were ready.
That's because it can mean so many things. It can mean hold this higher standard and look towards greatness, or it can mean, hey, settle down, children.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
Just-
what do you think is your so far? You know, up until this point, what has been your favorite moment of your Star Wars journey?
There's nothing I could say. Literally every time I've gotten to be on set it's just, there's new magic that happens every day that you walk out. There's new inspirations. There's beautiful, you know, the stories of redemption that are just abound everywhere between personal lives on the set that's going on, you know, the all the workers that conspire to make that happen, the whole crew, like what's going on there is oftentimes just overwhelmingly beautiful and just takes you. And then what's going on the screen, I'm so grateful to all of it. I couldn't name a thing. I couldn't name a thing.
So when you finally going to the question when we first started, a second part to it is that when you finally found out that you were in a Star Wars and everything clicked, how did 10-year-old Tait take to that?
I mean, I remember seeing the first Star Wars in Petoskey, Michigan, outside this red brick film this theater, and I was too young to know what that was, but I remember it distinctly. And then I just remember, you know, just all the arcing components that as those first 3 came out, what it created as far as a mythology, a lore, a path to follow. If I was going to say what is the way, I mean, we would talk about Taoism, or we would talk about Marcus Aurelius. We would talk about people that held these high standards for self, not for society, not to look to where others ought to do better or this or that, but what is self-recognition and responsibility, and how can I take that and atone that to my highest good, to the highest good for my community, to be in this place of service where I can be of a strength and solvency that I'm useful to my community. And that is those are the seeds of the way is how I would describe it.
And do you recognize who you truly are?
I mean, and as that ever changes, like every step of the river, it's a new man and it's a new river. And so how do these ideals stay transcendent regardless of how the being shifts and morphs?
Loyalty and solidarity, as this episode mentioned earlier on, these are the things of the way, right? Loyalty, solidarity, looking after your own. That's why I said earlier on, I think, why the armor question, you know, why are we forging something for a Jedi?
Right.
You know, this is...
Well, and because they have their way. Like the question also is, why would the Jedi want that? They don't need our thing. They don't have a regard for our things in the way that, you know what I mean? It's like that also. And I think that really typifies the there's a schism there, and that he's both ways. That he's maybe those are congealed into one, and they become more powerful that way. We'll see.
It's great seeing that story unfold and how they've taken this, what was a one-off bounty for this character that turned into this, obviously was the show, but from episode 1, seeing all that and then going into where we are now and what's coming up. It's great evolution.
Pretty exciting. I remember like a year ago going, oh my God, it's so far away. And it was like going to come out in December, and then it was going to come out in January, and it kept pushing. And I go, oh, Mark, that's so far away. And now it's a month away. I mean,
yeah,
it's wild.
And I know, like, some of us that are going over to London, the last one of the last episodes is going to be airing just before Celebration that week. So it's going to be like crazy of everybody talking about where we're going, while we're at con.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not that I have any insight into this, but we saw the 2 first episodes of the premiere of Kenobi. So, they might provide some kind of love letter to us. And
who knows what gets popped off. Yeah.
Absolutely. So tell us about working, with the process, or just in general, working with Dave and John.
I've already said a bunch about them. I have a high regard. It's a beautiful thing to watch. I mean, what it says to me is like, who cares about Dave and John? Like, what people ought to be asking themselves is like, here's men that did this, that just had ideas, that were nerd kids that wrote their stories. And what could I do to manifest a greater destiny for myself? Who cares about Dave and John? The message should be internal. Nice. Like, look at what possibility is. Look at these guys crack the egg like that. I could do that. That's what the message of Star Wars. Hey, man, if you're looking at like, oh, the stars around it, that's the whole wrong message. The message of this is hope. Where's your internal hope for what you could become, give, and be? And that's the thing, right? I mean, that's the thing that turns me on about it.
Yeah.
This is the way.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Dave, any other questions?
It's magnificent.
Some other questions. I've got to ask this. Is Bryce a fellow Michiganer, Michiganite? Like, Michigander? As opposed to the Michigoose, the Michigander.
Exactly. Right.
He's as Tait, have you ever been to Traverse City? He's from Traverse City.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Great Cherry Festival of Traverse City. Oh, nice. Traverse City is maybe one of the only functional cities in Michigan, like that's stayed for decades. It's been solvent. It's a really cool place.
Very nice. That is going to make him extremely happy.
There's obviously a lot of cons coming up this year, and you've done a lot of travel. Is there any shows that this year that you want to plug that you've been announced for, and you can't? I was supposed to go to Germany last year, and then I had to miss it for another work engagement. I hope I get back there. I'd love to go to London. There's a show in, I think it's in Florida, down in June or something maybe. Stuff down the road, but only a couple of things here and there. And I'm thinking that'll probably pick up here shortly.
Yeah. Well, I know our group members would love to see you at some point on the convention circuit and come and say hi, and
yes,
get a graph or two on something
on that.
Yeah, man. I would just compel them to let the people that run your local cons know that they're dying to know who you want to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed we can get you at a celebration sometime soon.
Man. Yeah,
because I know we're taking a little bit of let's just say a break, if you like, from the US celebration, events for London, but they'll be back on these shows quite soon.
right on.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So we're going to close out for the evening on this show. So Tait, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the conversation and walking us through this episode, with Emily, and your stories as well from this.
It was great, man. It was great meeting you all, and thanks for putting this together for us.
It's absolutely
Most welcome.
Thanks
John,
for being here.
anything to close, John?
No, it's been just I think you've been just such an insightful presence in terms of your experiences with Book of Boba Fett and etc. And just some great perspectives that I haven't heard previously with some of our guests. So thank you for being such a wonderful guest this week.
Thanks, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Jeff.
It was just great having you. Nice talking to you in person, but this was amazing. Great hearing the stories and everything. We hope to have you again. Like Spencer said, if there's any episodes coming up, we'd love to have you back.
Love that.
Dave.
I just want to pass along to Tait how many people are over in the chat saying thank you for coming. What a pleasure it was to have you here and share your stories. And they've been really excited with that. We've had a really active chat and a lot of people there. So yeah, thank you.
It's great. It's great to hear, man. It's great to hear that there's an impact and an interest. Like connecting with people is the best part of this. For cons and stuff, it's the best, man. It's the very best.
The one thing we love, especially when bringing you on and bringing all the guests on, is that as fans, we feel that one extra step closer to Star Wars. Like we're actually interacting, because I know, like,
you guys are
the holy trinity of Harrison, Mark, and Carrie, and how out there they were, and we never thought that we'd ever get to meet anybody, but getting to chat and hear stories one-on-one or in a group fashion, it makes us feel like we're actually part of the universe. So I thank you for making us feel like we are all part of everything that goes on.
Thanks, Spencer. I think how cool that is that we're in the age that we are now. The idea of getting a hold of Harrison Ford in 1986 is like, how does that happen, right? And now it's like everybody's pretty accessible, and to be able to connect like that, I think it brings the humanity to both places. I think that's a lot of why like older stars get weird, kind of, because they get removed from normal in a way, and it's like, and this world doesn't. It offers you an alternative to that, and this, and like I was saying about Grogu dolls early on, it's like the fans are what makes Star Wars. It's what drives it. It's why people pay attention to the detail. It's why they're fanatical about it, run everything through Dave and then through George, and because the fans are why they want it to be right. It's a real integral part, and I love that about it too. The Mandalorian mercs coming through and playing all the stormtroopers one day, because we needed to have 60 stormtroopers or whatever it was, and who else are you going to call that's better than those people? And and those people never thought they'd ever get called to a star, and so that's the thing when I speak about the hope and it's just like you put yourself into what you love. And that thing comes to fruition, and you're a useful part of that, and you can't ever imagine it happening. And that's what being a part of this is like. It's like you can't imagine it happening, and you're just trying to carry it well. And I really appreciate y'all. Thanks, man. I could.
Yeah. It's a wonderful, wonderful insight.
Awesome. So,
all right, man. Well, be well. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Awesome.
We
Sounds
appreciate
great.
it.
So,
all right. Thanks, fellas.
Next date. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will probably have another guest next week. I'm waiting for the confirmation on that one, but we're very excited about everything that's going on. Dave, anything coming up on the VCN?
Oh, right here is, we're coming up on the first part of the month where we're getting ready, gearing up for another episode of Celebrating Autographs with Frank Rich. We're going to have that coming. We've got episodes of Rebels Revisited also on Monday. And this weekend, we will have Jedi Archives back with a review of the High Republic, The Blade, I believe. So tune in to all of those things. And we hope to see you there. And we hope to see you like kind of live and in person on the Zoom. On the Tuesday night happy hours is come on out there and do this, ask us questions, talk and shenanigans and stuff with us there. We'd love to see you.
Yeah.
Excellent. So we're getting ready for celebration. We've got a lot of great stuff coming on, and keep watching with us. So thank you very much to both Tait and to Emily for joining us tonight. What an incredible episode. So from the governor, from Hefe, from Dave, this is Spencer saying, right.
This is the way.
Is the way.
This is the way.